and welcome into a new episode of JD's Wildcat World. On this episode, we look back at the debut of the Mark Pope era of Kentucky basketball, as in regular season game. The Cats started the season off the right way with a big win over Wright State. Fitting that the Cats win by 41 points, as that was Mark Pope's jersey number when he played for Kentucky. The Cats got it done from on both sides of the ball. They win 103-62 in just a very impressive performance. I want to start out by saying shout out to Big Blue Nation, who brought a great environment for Coach Pope's first game. I've been to several over the last first games of the year, and the crowd was definitely better. The crowd's more excited, more lively, and it showed on the court as well. And on the TV broadcast, from what I've heard, I did go back and watch highlights, but I haven't got to watch the game specifically on the TV. But I've heard it sounded very loud, very lively on the TV broadcast, and that's always a good sign. I honestly don't think that the debut for Coach Pope could have went much better than it went. You had offense looking amazing, which, I mean, we already thought that was going to happen, but it was nice to see it actually happen. And then the defense, this was a good defensive test for the Cats. That's basically why they scheduled this game, to see, how can we guard starting out? How are we on the defensive side of the ball? I think that was the biggest question. And, to hold Wright State to 5 of 27 from 3, that's a good start. If you hold teams 5 of 27 from 3 and you play the way we do on offense, that's a recipe for success for sure. And, I'm not going to sit here and act like Wright State is a good opponent. They have a first-year head coach for that program that just came in. They lost their coach that had been there forever to, I think it was Southern Illinois is where he went. And so he's taken over a new roster. Some guys did stay that were on that Wright State team last year. They're a fringe, like Horizon League champ, Horizon League semifinalist every year. So, not a bad team by any means. They won their second game of the year. I did see last night they won that one, so they're 1-1. But the Cats, like I said, if you hold anyone to 5 of 27 from 3, good things are definitely going to happen. So proud of this group, proud of Coach Pope and his staff for scouting a great game. And, Wright State hit some crazy shots, or they probably wouldn't have scored 50. I mean, they hit some insane contested fall-away threes, fall-away jumpers, fall-away long twos with a hand in their face. They hit several tough shots. So you look at the game and you're thinking, man, they could have only scored 50, and then you double their score. So a great all-around performance. The scoring was very well balanced, which I will go ahead and say I expect to see that a lot this year. I think you could see 5 guys in double figures a game. It might not be the starters all in double figures, but we have so many guys that can plug and play. So many guys that are good on the offensive end. This year or this offseason, Coach Pope installing this offense for these guys. We're lucky to have Jackson Robinson, who already knew how Pope wanted to play on the offensive side of the ball. But you have guys that clearly have bought into what Pope is coaching, what he's teaching them. And it's just great to see. Very happy for BBN. We've wanted this freshness for so long. We've wanted something new. We're tired of seeing the same old stuff happen. We're tired of beating these inferior teams by 15 points, 10 points, 12 points. I think we're going to see more of what we saw the first game against inferior opponents. I think we play a style that is just insanely hard for teams with less talent to keep up with, because it's basically running and gunning. It's cutting every time you pass the ball. It's stagger screens. It's down screens. It's hard cuts. You know how many times I saw backdoor cuts open, and a couple times we missed our cutters wide open to the rim. So those opportunities, I'm sure they'll get in the film room. Those opportunities will be there even more. So I'm very pumped. I'm very happy. I projected last episode 7 losses. I'm good with that prediction. Some people probably think that we'll have more. I doubt there's any that think we'll have less, but I'm telling you, Coach Pope was the right guy for this job. I hopped on X the night he got hired, and I was in some video calls or video chats, and said some things that I regret now because, but I think that was everyone's reaction in BBN. I think everybody was shocked, but I'm very happy with he's the right guy. I mean, he has shown me in this short amount of time, he's the right guy. He's one of us. He wants to take this program to where it should be always, and that's to the top. And I'm just very glad that Mitch Barnhart hired him. I think, and this is a roster you can argue, and I'm not talking down on this roster because I think we can do very, very good things. You see how we played that first game. I think that's just the start. But you give Pope a couple years, you see him bringing in these 5-star, 4-star guys, and you install them into this system, and oh my gosh, the sky feels like the limit for sure. So I mean, I can't help but be anything but excited. I'm sure you all feel the same exact way. I was ready for them to tip Saturday's game off right after the Wright State game was over. Never want to watch these guys quit playing. So start off with the box score. The Cats were led in scoring by Otega Owe with 21 points, 8 of 9 from the field, 3 of 3 from the 3-point line. Extremely, extremely efficient for Otega. He had several steals that led to easy buckets, or other guys would get steals. Lamont Butler would get a steal. It would lead to Owega layup. He's just Owe layup. I can't talk. I say Otega Owe 5 times fast, and then y'all can get back with me. But I'm just very happy with how he's playing. I kind of thought he would be more of a defensive guy, but man, he has shown, and he's shown on the offensive end that he's very, very serviceable, very good player. Could lead us in scoring. I still expect that to be Jackson Robinson, but he can get a bucket when it hit. Feel like he can get to the rim anytime he needs to. That's really what we need on offense. We need a guard that can get his own bucket whenever he needs to. I feel like Owe is that guy that can get a layup or a dunk anytime he wants, and can also shoot it from 3. So you have to honor his 3-point shooting, and that's a deadly combo for our offense for sure. Lamont Butler with 14. I think that was a quiet 14. I feel like, just watching that game, I felt like he only had 6 or 8, but he had 14 points, missed 2 layups/dunks that would have put him at 18. I think he just lost focus on that dunk, jumped a little bit too early. The layup was kind of weird also. I think he thought it was going to be contested, and then he was wide open, and he was already at the point of the rim. You still got to make those, but I fully expect Lamont to do that as the season goes on. I don't think that's going to be a repeated thing that happens. He was 6 of 12 from the field, 0 of 2 from 3. We need him to knock down some threes. That's going to be something that we need as we get into better competition, into conference play. We need Lamont to hit 1 or 2 threes a game. I don't think that's a crazy ask out of your point guard, but he's just a defensive menace who you see every time down the floor, guarding his butt off, guarding the point guard of the other team. And how could I forget about Kobe Brea, who was actually the second leading scorer? I was trying to go in order, but Kobe Brea off the bench, 7 of 8 shooting, 4 of 4 from 3. I think I found one of my favorite players on this team. Kobe Brea is just going to be so smooth, whether it be non-conference or conference, and he's just going to get after it and lead to open shots. The last 3 hit, he turned around before it even went in. That's how confident he was that it was going. I mean, he's exactly the knockdown shooter that we need. If Owe plays the way he played and Kobe does, they combine for 39. If 2 guards combine for 39, you're not going to lose many games if that happens. So, I'm very proud of Kobe. I expect his 3-point shooting to stay. I mean, it's hard to be more than 50% like he was last year, but if he could maintain that 50% mark, you're looking at a very good season for Kobe. Then I said Lamont had 14. Amari Williams, double-double in his debut, 12 points, 13 boards. Amari did some really good things, especially on the defensive side. He's a 3-time defensive conference player of the year at Drexel. Just a very good player on that end, but he showed some offense. He showed some high-flying ability. Maybe not need to dribble as much as he does, but I know that's part of Pope's offense. Get the big man facilitating, and Amari is a guy that can really do that well. You saw that. And his first game here. 3 assists for a big man. That's a decent. Speaking of assists, 30 assists team wide on 39 made buckets. Is that right? I'm pretty sure that's right. Yeah. 30 assists on 39 made field goals. That's insanity. And that's Mark Pope's offense at work doing its finest work. That is how you get easy looks. If you have 30 assists on 39 makes, that's an insane volume. And, the assist to turnover ratio was crazy too. Let me see if I want to say we had 7 turnovers. Let's see. Yes, 30 assists, 7 turnovers. That's the recipe for success. I still don't want 7 turnovers, but the speed we play the game at on offense, you're going to have a decent amount of turnovers just because of how fast we play, how many possessions we get in a game. But I can't say enough good things about Amari. Let's work on our free throws. That's the only complaint I've got. Need him hitting those as we go on into conference play. We'll see what happens there. Andrew Carr, very solid game. 11 points, two rebounds, and 3 assists. Hit 1 3. I still don't think we've seen the best of Andrew Carr. I think he is he could have a great game against Bucknell. He could have a great game against Duke, who he's played before many times at Wake Forest. He's just a guy that is very solid. I still don't think we saw the best of him. And Jackson Robinson didn't really struggle, but didn't have the game that I thought he would. I thought he was definitely a lock for 20 points. He goes 3 of 6 from the field, 2 of 5 from 3. Still had 8 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists. Even on a quiet night, he's doing great things. So I still think Jackson's our best player. Still think he's going to be as the year goes on. He does all the things that Pope wants in his system. He's used to his system. So I'm very glad for Jackson and glad to have him. I expect big things out of him as the season goes on. Ansley Almanor is a guy that, comes in from Fairleigh Dickinson, a very good knockdown shooter, and he showed why Pope brought him in. 5 of 7 from the field, 11 points, 2 boards. Just a very good wing piece to have who can also get a layup or post up and score. So he's going to be a very valuable guy to have. Brandon Garrison, 6 points, 5 assists, 4 boards. I did not realize Brandon Garrison had 5 assists. That's another big guy facilitating the offense. 5 assists for a big man. Love to see it. 4 boards. He did a very good job. Had a little bit of foul trouble. Had 4 in 19 minutes. Need those to come down a little bit. Don't need him fouling out and losing him. Colin Chandler couldn't really get going. Only took 1 shot, missed it, but hit 2 free throws from the line. I think it's going to take him a minute to get into the rhythm, but once he does, he's going to be another guy that's a knockdown shooter, but can also get to the rim. He might need a little work on the defensive end, but I think with time that will come. And I'm sure Colin will definitely be where we need him to be as time goes on. And then you get to Travis Perry and Trent Noah, who have been a hot topic of conversation. I love everyone. I love Kentucky boys playing as much as anybody. I'm a homegrown Kentucky kid who is 110% a Kentucky fan. Blue, 100% Kentucky. But as a fan base, we need to chill. We've got to realize with the way Coach Pope plays, the roster we have, these guys are not going to play that much. And that's how it used to be. We see Reed Shepherd last year, and we see Dante Allen a couple years before that play a lot. And you see guys like that, and now all of a sudden we think that these freshmen from the state of Kentucky are just going to come in and play immediately. Let's be patient. This is supposed to be a revival, is what I quoted it and titled my podcast last week. Let's be patient. These guys aren't going to play a lot this year. That's evident. That's truth. We've got to be patient. That's how it used to be, and that's no disrespect to those guys. I think they're both very, very good players. Travis Perry and Trent Noah, other than Reed Shepherd, the best 2 players we've seen come out of this state in a very long time. So let's just be patient as a fan base. Let Coach Pope be Coach Pope. Let him play who he thinks is going to do the best. He's very analytical, very analytic driven. So let's just sit back, enjoy the ride. These guys will play eventually. Give them a couple years, and they will play. Now, on to Bucknell at 4 o'clock on Saturday. I look forward like I said, I've looked forward to this game since the Wright State game ended. I'm very pumped to see these guys back in action. I'm not going to act like I have a Bucknell scouting report. I will say they have a guy in Noah Williamson who's going to be their best guy. He's their big man, averaging 19 points a game. I look for Amari Williams and Andrew Carr to take care of him. We'll see. I could be wrong, but I really have confidence in Amari and Brandon Garrison as well, who's a big guy that can block some shots. I think that's the main guy you're going to have to worry about is their big guy Noah Williamson. I will mention their guard Bijak, I think is how you say his last name, who shoots three really well. I haven't went back and watched any Bucknell tape. I'm sorry. I usually do. I just have not had the time this week. They come in 1-0. They beat Delaware by 12 points. On Monday night, they play tonight against Southern Indiana. They're favored by 2.5 points. They could come in here 1-1 or 2-0. Either way, I wouldn't be surprised. But I like the Cats to roll pretty easily. We've played Bucknell before. Everyone thinks of Nate Sestina. When you mention Bucknell, that's where he came from. I like the Cats. I like the Cats to start off 2-0 and then go into the monster game with Duke, with Kentucky and Duke undefeated, and we'll see what happens from there. That's really what I'm ready for. I mean, I wanted to do this episode for the Wright State recap and hit a little preview of Bucknell, but I'm not spending any more time than I have to on that. But I am excited. I might do a post-game Saturday night episode, or we might wait until Monday. Not really sure what'll happen there. I'm very thankful for y'all who have asked me, by the way, about the podcast. It means you all are still listening and loving it. I really do appreciate it. It means the world to me that you all are loving the podcast, and I truly appreciate each and every one of you. For MVP, listen, I think Jackson Robinson gets back on track. Picking MVPs, it's going to be similar to last year where it's so hard because you've got so many guys that are very good players that can go off at any moment in time. I think Jackson Robinson gets his game right and leads the team in scoring. And I think Jackson goes for 20 plus against Bucknell. Could be wrong. Could be totally wrong. But that's my MVP pick. I like the Cats to go over the 100 mark again. Against these inferior teams, this offense is just very, very awesome to watch. I like the Cats by a score of 101 to 76. I think the Cats win by 25 points. Get a big game from Jackson Robinson, big game from Otega Owe, and we'll see what happens. I'd like to see Kirk Carissa get going. He really facilitated the offense with that second group, but didn't get to score much. Also look for Kobe Brea. I mean, every game you've got to look for Kobe Brea to knock down a couple threes. So very pumped. I like the Cats by 25 on Saturday, and then we roll into Atlanta and play Duke at State Farm Arena. Gonna be a crazy game. Crazy. I love the Champions Classic. I hope we beat them. We'll have a very much more in-depth preview of that game. It's Duke. It's not Bucknell. So going to preview that one big. Recap the Bucknell game. Hopefully we're celebrating the win and we're sitting at 2-0 going into that Duke game. Thank you all so much for listening. This has been JD's Wildcat World. Thank you, Coach Pope, for rejuvenating this fan base, bringing people back that haven't been around. It means the world, and BBN's ready. We're ready to explode. So let's get this big win against Duke and see what happens. This has been JD's Wildcat World. Thank you all so much for listening. We're available on Apple Music, or Apple Podcasts, not Apple Music. I'm not a singer. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, YouTube, anywhere you get your podcast, we are available. And this podcast is powered by Riverside FM. Thank you all so much, and you'll hear from me next time. Go Cats.